and observing all of that. What was that like?
Amazing, to sort of see your life recreated in front of you. I mean, it only happens to very few people. Look, and that's me shouting in the background a poem of mine where I pretend that the teacher wouldn't let us breathe when we were at school. So you can see behind you there, look, no breathing in class. So it's wonderful. It's my poems come to life, it's my life come to life. It's wonderful.
And clearly it brings all the kids to life.
Yes, I mean, education can be very still and can be very sitting in desks and not a lot to play with. Now, the advantage of bringing children to here is that my poems and stories come to life, but also they can bring their own lives here. There's a room over there which has got my photos of my grandparents and so on, and really it'll give children a chance to bring their grandparents, as it were, here and have conversations. And then in the chocolate cake area, there's an old larder like we used to have with corned beef in it. We used to eat corned beef. I think one or two people still do. So the idea is people can share things here and discover things.
Where do you get your ideas from for writing books?
Mostly it's from daydreaming. I know that sounds odd, but we all daydream, and I'm just one of those people who kind of catches his daydreams. So when I'm daydreaming, I think about my family, or I might think up crazy stuff, and then I make sure to scribble it down on bits of paper. I walk around with bits of paper. Look, here we are. And look, I scribble things down. There's a little thing that my grandmother used to say, partly in her language. Es kindele es, for here is food plenty. That means eat, children, eat. And you can hear she's speaking in sort of round the other way.
So what are you going to do with that note?
Well, what I might do is put it up on the wall in the room that is my grandparents' room. I'll write it out, but I might turn it into a poem later. So, and there's other little. See, I'm scribbling there. You can see that. I scribble stuff down that gives me ideas, but it's just catching daydreams.
I've read some of your blog, and you were talking about how this is almost like a slice of your mind.
Yes, well, that's what it feels like. If you could imagine taking a ladder and going into my mind, walking around it, and then turning it into big rooms. So part of my mind is full of my schoolroom at West Lodge County Primary School in Pinner. Middlesex is still there. My room is still there. The room that I actually sat in for 2 or 3 years, that's still there. My grandparents' house, sadly, is not there. But then in the chocolate cake room, that's like in my mind. That's like the poems that I've made up. So on the one hand, here's a room that feels a bit like my classroom. We had desks exactly like these. That's breathing under the desk, you see. Snatching a quick... Miss is saying no breathing, and... Quick! Take a breath. You see? Well, that feels like it, so it's lovely. It is my mind, yeah.
What are your memories of school in terms of how you were taught?
It was very, very formal. There were 48 children in my class. Most classes these days have 30 or 31. We were in rows like this, in pairs, so 4 rows of 12. And the teacher stood out the front next to the blackboard, and she was very, very formal, and she wasn't very nice to boys. I don't think she liked boys. Called the girls by their first names, the boys by their second names. So I was Rosen at school, but on the other hand there was Sheena and Diane and people like that, you see. It was strange, really. I think they were very anxious. I was born in 1946. It was just after the war, and I think they had a very strong sense they were trying to create a new world and were very anxious that we would misbehave in this new world. So they were constantly obsessed with behaviour, and that's why up on the wall there you can see the cane that I was actually caned with. I went back to my old school and they'd kept it. They'd kept it in a cupboard, and they said, would you like the cane? And I said, well, not again. And they went, no, we've got it, we've got the cane. And so they gave it to me, and I took it home, and I've kept it ever since. And then when Discover, Children's Story Centre, said they were going to make an exhibit, I said, you could have the cane. We could put it up there, and people could see that that was the cane I was actually caned with for running into the girls' playground. There was a boys' playground and a girls' playground. Running into the girls' playground because a new boy came and he didn't know the rules. So we all ran in with him, being naughty, and then Miss tried to take the football off him, but he had come from Germany and he didn't understand what she was saying. And while she was wrestling with him, sorry about this, I booed. I went, boo. And just then the head teacher was standing there, And he said, right, to my study, you, to the study. And then, with that came.
My goodness me.
They were anxious. They were worried that somehow or other the world would fall apart if, we did things like run into the girls' playground. They found it very difficult to relax.
Why is an interactive setup like this educational, do you think?
I think it's very hard for young children to take words off a page. I just saw now with that group of children, when they see words on a page, it's hard for them to bring that to life. It's easy for me and you. We did education and we learnt how when we see a word like an onomatopoeic word like bang or something, we can not go bang, we go bang, and we can make it come to life. The great advantage of a place like this is it makes words come to life. You live the poems and the stories, and you discover that words and stories are connected to life. It's very hard, it's not impossible, but it's hard to do that in classrooms. So what this is a way really of discovering the connection between words and doing and living. And that's very important. It's very hard for children to do it on their own, just with words. They seem very like nothing, just grey scribbles.
I love your idea for a National Word Day.
Yes, well, I was thinking that, we could celebrate words more often. We have lovely National Book Days and Poetry Days, and then I thought, well, let's have words, and not just words, also phrases. Sometimes we get a bit too focused on a single word. Wouldn't it be nice if we could sort of, what's your favourite phrase? Oh, I don't know, The Sound of Silence from, Simon and Garfunkel, or maybe RESPECT, anything like that. And people could sort of celebrate, and we'd all talk about it. And we could forget about it for a year. But anyway, it's that idea.
Do you think with this kind of explosion of social media that it's even harder these days to get kids to read and be interested in books and engage with paper?
Yes, it is hard. It is hard, and you need lots of different ways, because reading is a special experience. Reading is a slow experience. You watch videos and you're texting. These are quite speedy. And the advantage of reading is that it's a slow, reflective experience. And if you can match something visual with the words on the page, it then helps the child to do that. So that's why I've made videos of my poems, and it's why some of my books got lots and lots of illustrations. And it's really to try and help children discover that. Yeah.
Do you get lots of letters from parents kind of asking you to teach them how they can get their kids interested and engaged in books and novels and whatnot?
I do. I get lots of letters from parents and from children and schools. More often than not, they're saying, thank you very much, and we'd go on a bear hunt every night, and could you think of another book? Because I've been doing bear hunt now for 45 nights, I'm getting a bit tired. That sort of thing. But also some people saying, well, yeah, what books do you recommend, or what can you do, and I try to reply to them and suggest, ways of living things, living the words, going out when you're on holiday, playing word games, making up funny limericks, using stories from your own lives. People don't know their own lives are treasure houses of stories and ideas, and if you're a parent or a grandparent, oh look, there's me moaning about my toenails, they're coming over on the speaker, and use your lives to share with your children and write stories with them. That's really important. And never think that your life is not worthy. Always remember your life is terribly worthy because you've lived. Life is all we have. So share your lives with your children. Do little drawings and speech bubbles. You could do pin men. I can't draw for toffee, but I do a little pin man, and then I do, no breathing like that with an exclamation mark, and you can do it in big capital letters. And the moment you do that, you're showing that words on the page and language, it's there for our use. It's for our benefit.
How important is it to keep the magic in education, do you think?
It's immensely important. All of us have got memories when education kind of got dull and got boring and it was difficult to concentrate. So, we can all remember that as adults. So what we've got to do is try and make that as little as possible for our children. We want it to be lively and give our children a chance to be, we say be creative, that means making and doing things that come from your mind, things that you daydream about or things that you would like to do, and you talk to the person next to you and say, we could make something, and you want to have that space in schools for that to be possible.
I think that's lovely. It's really nice, and everyone's running around and really getting involved in everything, and you can tell that.
There's going to be, I don't know whether you saw him, but there's a story builder will always be down here to help children play and to do bear hunt and things like that. Lovely.
We can get you in here.
So store explorers to the forest and then back to the cave.
Out! School prison! Miss, I've been up here for 3 weeks. And there's rats. And they're nibbling my toenails, miss.
And then they... Sure, we can just hang around.
Everyone else out of that room.
You're doing some pickups there, very good. Why don't you, do you want to choose or do you want me to choose for you? Just sit in. I'll just bring your bag over here, is that okay? Yeah. That's lovely. Guys, just look in this way for me. Look at that nice one.
Okay, okay. I'm happy, Martin.
Yep.
Yeah. Michael Rosen describes this exhibition as a...
See whether they can hold on to it. Yeah, walk on the grass, that's a good idea. And then can you... All right, I'll screw that on.
A cane above their head was used on their favourite author. For Rosen, traipsing through the embodiment of his imagination, the vivacious author led us into a mock-up of his childhood classroom and revealed some of his writing secrets.
Look, I scribble things down. You know, there's a little thing that my grandmother used to say, partly in her language. Es kindele es, for here is food plenty. That means eat, children, eat.
So what are you going to do with that note?
Well, what I might do is put it up on the wall in the room that is my grandparents' room. I'll write it out, but I might turn it into a poem later.
Michael Rosen describes this exhibition as a slice of his mind. This room, for example, is a recreation of his childhood family front room, and he's inviting children to come in, take a look at his past, and get a sense of where he gets his ideas from.
The great advantage of a place like this is it makes words come to life. You live the poems and the stories, and you discover that words and stories are connected to life.
A giant chocolate cake, living out Michael Rosen's poem by the same name.
What is exciting about this place?
Cooking.